What's up, everybody? Well, that's two in a row for Oklahoma, and the fourth time that Brent Venables has lost back-to-back games. Can the Sooners break the streak, or does this thing reach three in a row this week? I'm John Hoover, publisher at AllSooners, and Ryan Chapman and Randall Sweet are going to jump in here and help me pull apart Saturday night's home game with West Virginia. Coming off the Bedlam loss, OU is now 7-2, while West Virginia is 6-3. They're tied for second place in the Big 12 race right now at 4-2 each, so there's still a ton to play for, as Drake Stoops told us earlier in the week. But listen, OU's going to need help these final 3 weeks to get back to the championship game. Kickoff Saturday is 6 p.m., and the game is on Fox. Believe it or not, OU is still a 13-point favorite in this one. Okay, guys, let's jump into today's breakdown. Let me ask you this. After back-to-back losses, what's the one thing that you think Oklahoma absolutely has to improve on this week to stop the losing streak and beat West Virginia?
Yeah, the biggest thing for the offense is this. Just keep it simple, guys. Enough of the direct snaps, enough of the throwing behind the line of scrimmage, trying to go boundary to boundary. Oklahoma's found a little bit of that running game, some of that counter stuff, some of that gap scheme stuff that, imagine that, Oklahoma had done very successfully up until Jeff Lebby had arrived. The offensive line looks comfortable doing that. Sawchuk looks good. Tawi Walker should be back a little bit more healthy. Oklahoma's having success offensively, pushing the ball down the field, finding Drake Stoops over the middle. If Nick Anderson stays on his feet, they have a walk-in touchdown there. No issue with how they attacked vertically. Just quit trying to be too cute. This offense is not good enough to do all the cute stuff and still execute and move, especially against the West Virginia defense that is pretty good. When you pair that with the offense that is going to play some ball control, it's going to make every single possession that much more important. So just cut out the cuteness, strip the offense back, go back to the simple stuff, and execute on that.
I think to really right the ship this week, it's going to take OU not coughing the ball up, not committing these dumb turnovers. I mean, I think that, if Dylan Gabriel throws an interception while trying to push the ball down the field, that's one thing. But if, the ball is bouncing around on a bad snap, or, the running back tries to hand it to the quarterback and there's a fumbled exchange there, that's the things that's going to get OU beat again for the third week in a row. I mean, last weekend, obviously, there was the 2 fumbles that I just mentioned. Before that, against Kansas, there is the pick 6 that Dylan Gabriel threw. There is obviously the play where Marcus Stripling's on the kickoff return team and fumbles that ball. Now, obviously, Kansas didn't score off of that, but still, plays like that are what is going to get OU beaten, is what has prevented them from taking advantage of opportunities on offense while putting their defense in bad situations at the same time. If you can counteract both of those, then I think that Oklahoma obviously will have a really good chance of beating West Virginia.
Yeah, obviously, to me, turnovers is number one. And Ryan, I think you're right. Simplifying things would definitely be good for these guys at this stage of the season. 3 games left. But for me, how about this? How about the Sooners display a little poise for once? For the first time since really kind of the Texas game, maybe the UCF game in parts. How about they limit the penalties, both on the players and the coaching staff? You're talking about one of the most penalized teams in all of college football, and that is something that West Virginia excels at. They do not beat themselves with penalties, so that's not a good matchup for Oklahoma. But listen, no 30-yard combo penalties in the fourth quarter this time, huh? How about that? Start with that one. Block to the whistle, not after. That's a good one. How about when your receiver is tracking a deep ball? Just turn and find the ball like you're coached to instead of grabbing the guy or bumping into him or knocking him down. How about this one? Don't get nervous or distracted and snap the football too soon, right? Wait until your quarterback goes, right? It's simple, huh? Isn't it? Maybe poise and maturity. You got to have a little composure when things get tight. That's what's going to win this game. And how about this for a change? You already know you're not going to get many favorable calls, right? So play with poise early, create some distance on the scoreboard, and you won't have to worry about what the officials are calling or not calling down the stretch. Okay, second question for you guys is this. Let's assume Danny Stutzman is back in the lineup. Does Oklahoma make the opposing quarterback look like a Pro Bowler for the fourth week in a row? Or do they get after Garrett Green and corral him this time? Here's my take. I'll start it off. To me, this is the biggest X factor in the game for Oklahoma is the defense and how they stop Garrett Green. Garrett Green cooked OU's defense last year in Morgantown. I'm telling you, the guy was almost untackleable, if that's a word. He was just as dangerous this time around, of course, and now he's got a really veteran offensive line in front of him. Those guys are playing with a military precision. Brent Venables compared them to a marching band. They're blocking the heck out of the run game, I know that. And that's why you see C.J. Donaldson averaging 75 yards a game on the ground, 9 touchdowns. Garrett Green, just like the last couple of weeks, is not supposed to be able to hurt Oklahoma throwing the football. He's completing just 53% of his passes, but he's averaging almost 16 yards per completion, which is one of the best in the country. And Green, get this, guys, he's averaging 5.6 yards per carry on the ground. He's averaging more than 50 yards a game, and he's run for 8 touchdowns. He's a slippery dude. And for me, he's got to be the number one priority of this defense, Stutzman or no Stutzman. What do you guys think?
Yeah, everyone's honed in on West Virginia's rushing attack, which is absolutely fair, as they should be. It's an excellent unit, top 10 unit, number 7 overall rushing attack in the country. But something West Virginia does even better than even Oklahoma State did last week is time up exactly when they want Garrett Green to take those deep shots downfield and really try and hurt you as you're sucked all the way in. And so this is an Oklahoma defensive line that's gone 2 straight weeks without a sack. It really has struggled all year long to generate pressure when opposing offenses bring in a couple extra guys to help protect. I'm not sure that trend is going to change on Saturday, so it's going to be down to Oklahoma to make the right gambles on when they're going to be in passing situations, especially if Gentry Williams, who is day-to-day, isn't able to play a full 4 quarters or anything like that, because Oklahoma's corners got a little exposed last week when they were put in one-on-one situations. So I think that Garrett Green, while he's probably not going to average the gaudy numbers he had last year of 119 yards on just 14 carries, I do think there's success for him to have through the air, and I do think that will be an issue for Oklahoma's defense to try and keep that in check as they hope to prevent a 3rd straight loss in Norman on Saturday.
I think that with Stutzman, if Stutzman is back, I think that OU this year will actually have a chance to control Garrett Green this time around. Now, I mean, obviously the last 2 weeks for OU, they haven't really done a good job. I mean, I would say Oklahoma State, it's kind of a moot point because they don't have a mobile quarterback, but obviously Jason Bean had some success running the ball against Oklahoma. I think this week being back home in front of that home crowd night game, especially if you get Danny Stutzman back, not only as good of a player as he is, but really that leadership style, I think, could be big for the Sooners. And obviously, it seems like the team is more disciplined this year than they were last year. Maybe not the past 2 weeks, but as a whole this year, it seems like there's more discipline. And if that does stay true, then I think that staying in those rush lanes, keeping contained on the outside, the Sooners will be able to contain Garrett Green. This could be a big game for Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, especially if Danny Stutzman's not able to go. Kobe McKenzie, a really physical downhill player. Kip Lewis, really fast, able to play all over the field as a linebacker. So I think that those two guys, and even if Stutzman does play, I still think those two guys could earn some valuable snaps.
All right, good stuff, guys, as always. Appreciate it. I want y'all to check in with AllSooners.com for the rest of the week because we've got our wall-to-wall coverage of OU and West Virginia. It's the final Saturday home game of the year, y'all. Check that out. And our staff, we got you covered. We're going to have you covered for the pregame, the in-game live blog, the post-game interviews from players and coaches, of course, our post-game reaction, the AllSooners podcast certified fresh from the press box, and so much more. Just keep it right here at AllSooners.com. For Ryan Chapman and Randall Sweet, I'm John Hoover. See you guys.